Hello guys, my name is SVB and I'm back with another episode of the Thought Process series. In this series, I'm going to be talking to the world's best players to try and get some insight into what they're thinking when they play their trademark hero and why they make the decisions they do. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking to Awkward, who if you've ever looked at the EU ladder, is usually to be found sitting at rank 1, playing a lot of Zenyatta along the way. So I'm going to talk to him first about the hero in general, and then we're going to go through one of his games and break down various decisions he made and why he made them. So let's get to it.
Hey, I'm Awkward. I'm usually the rank 1 on ladder. I play all supports besides Lucio. I'm very well known for my Zen specifically. I'm a full-time streamer, so if you want to see some Zen gameplay, it's Awkward on Twitch.
My first question would be, why pick Zen over any of the other supports, for example?
It really boils down to one specific thing. I think Zen has the most damage output out of all of the other supports. And in my opinion, damage equals carry potential in Overwatch. And that's why you feel like you can do a lot more or like carry the game when you put out more damage, because you act almost like a third DPS. Not even almost, sometimes you even put more damage than a DPS. That is why.
And what do you see then as the responsibility of a Zenyatta in the game? Is it primarily to contribute as a damage dealer? Is it to be supportive? Like, what's the role of a Zenyatta?
The difference between good Zenyatas and great Zenyatas is that great Zenyatas just play for damage. You need to play Zen, like in my opinion, like from my perspective, almost solely on damage. You have to put out as much damage, as much pressure as you can. Playing defensively could win you some games, but what you're doing when you're playing defensively is basically you're saying, okay, I kind of did my job, and you're depending on your team to quote-unquote carry the game. Rather than when you play aggressively and put out a lot of damage, you take matter into your own hands and you are the one that is carrying the game.
And on that note, is there a misconception that you think the community has about Zenyatta, or something you see a lot of people just get wrong about Zenyatta?
Yes, it's especially very common in lower ranks, like anything under Masters or under GM. I hear a lot of people like, I'm playing Zen and my team is like screaming at me, telling me that we don't have enough heals, I need to swap Zen. But I watch you, and I see that you're getting a lot of value, and I just tell them that you don't need to heal with Zen. Zen is not like a main healer. You just put your orb, it barely like even heals, and it's just there. There's nothing you can do. So you need to act as a damage dealer, and you are basically, as I said, a third DPS rather than a healer. Obviously, you can swap and listen to your team, but it really is about what you want. Do you want to improve on Zen? If you want to improve on Zen, you have to play Zen. But my advice would be, like, if we're just gonna be like just be real, like yeah, just don't listen to your team, just play Zen. Like, there's no much to say. People are gonna always ask you to swap, they need more heals, but at the end of the day, you want to improve on Zen, you feel like you can get value, just play the character.
But before we begin, your team comp, like how much does your team comp influence your playstyle as Zenyatta?
It is a lot, actually. The reason why I decided to play Zen here is because in this specific game, we have a Torb one trick, and the other DPS, decided to play Hanzo. I know the enemy team, I've played against them the whole day. They just run Rush with Mei. So there was two options. The other support of my team decided to pick BAP. I had two options. I either go Zen or Lucio. But I told myself, okay, they're gonna play Rush. If we play Rush without Mei, we're just gonna lose. So I might as well just go for Zen, and we can just play for pure damage outputs and try to counter their Rush instead of playing a worse version of Rush.
In this scenario, if you're playing this sort of with your Rush tanks, do you approach like your orb usage, your Discord usage any differently than if you had, let's say, like a double shield or a more like a double off tank setup?
It really depends, but there's no really big playstyle difference with the way that you play with your team. It's rather that you have to adjust more to the enemy team. I know they're gonna play Rush. It means that I'm very, very vulnerable. If I don't keep my distance, I die. So I have to keep my distance, and more importantly, since we're playing for high poke, like really high DPS, kind of have high damage output with Hanzo Torb, I have to find a really, really good off angle, since they're gonna be rushing into one target. It's more likely on Orion. So I will play a lot of off angles against their comp. Awesome.
Okay, so yeah, let's get into the actual gameplay then, and we're gonna unpause here. So your team is kind of, I guess, checked that there's not going to be a Widowmaker. You see a Mei, so you knew what was coming. Your Hanzo gets a nice pick. Okay.
So let's go with the premise that, as I said, I play for damage. Zen, you play for damage. You don't do anything special. No heal. You just put an orb. on whoever needs the orb. Usually it's gonna be the one that has the lowest HP, or the Rhine, they're gonna rush him. But most of the thing that I wanted to do here is just pure damage. That's like the premise of like how I play Zen.
Yeah, and that's just actually a good question I was gonna ask. Is like, yeah, orb priority. So you were saying people with the lowest HP pool first, but if someone's being pressured, then prioritize them more.
Yeah. So basically, the person that is taking damage or about to. Usually, I can tell like who through experience who's about to take damage and already put like the orb on him. Like if the Hanzo like off angles, for example, I see they're about to shoot him like 1 second, I might as well just orb him.
So yeah, and again, for anyone watching, you just have to kind of learn that intuition. Like there's no rule that Awkward could tell you. Like you have to figure out who you think is going to be under the most pressure.
Yeah, exactly. But a good rule of thumb would probably be whoever's taking damage.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. They got the McCree kind of off angling. So I just want to point out here that like where you're stood kind of like here, I just want to make clear, because I know a lot of players would be like, oh well, if I stand here I die, but you're kind of standing a little bit more in the open because you realize there's not like a Widowmaker who's just gonna one shot you. Is that fair?
I mean, I could die here, but the McCree, the people who can kill me in their comp, I can get like shot by Mei and McCree like in a burst damage, and I saw that the McCree already like passed, so it's not very likely for me to die to anything else.
Yeah, exactly. And the point I was kind of alluding to is that you've seen their team comp and thus made this decision. Is that correct? Like if there was a Widowmaker, you wouldn't stand here.
No, 100% no. I wouldn't stand like no, or Hanzo even.
Exactly. So yeah, just to clarify for anyone watching, yeah, you have to like adapt your positioning to what the team comp is. Right? You know, if there isn't a one shot potential, then you can be a bit more liberal with where you position. But if there is, then you have to be careful. So
yep.
Yeah, your Rhine pushes the McCree, he gets flashbanged, right-clicked. Right, looks like they're rotating to statue. Okay, so here the kind of chaos begins. What are your sort of immediate priorities?
To discard their Rhine is like 100% priority, and put the orb on our Rhine because he's getting pushed, but now the Zarya is low, so I'm probably going to swap the orb to her, because 100 charge Zarya is a very, very big asset in a team fight like that. Because when they're rushing, they're going to focus one person only. All of them are going to focus the Rhine. So what ends up happening, they don't notice what is happening around them. It's a very, very big advantage you can take when you're playing not rush against rush, because you can take multiple angles and you can just shoot. So 100 charge Zarya can take advantage of the chaos. So what I'm going to do here, I'm probably going to discard the Rhine. I'm kind of walled, so I can't. But I will discard the Rhine, so you can put out most damage and take the pressure off our Rhine. And we're just going to look to damage like all over the place.
All right, well, let's see it in effect. So yeah, the McCree flanks, you quickly ward him off.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously he keeps getting bubbled, so it's hard to keep the Discord on. But yeah, immediately there you see the Discord goes out, and now you're going for a little bit of damage. So this is what you were talking about, like take the opportunity to take a bit of a flank and a bit of damage.
Right. So because we're getting the picks, there's really no point for me to like push with my team. I'm still playing relatively safe in here, right? I'm not I'm not pushing outside. I'm just kind of picking the core and see I'm shooting, right? Because I want to see if maybe somebody's trying to make a play, and I want to deny him from making a play, because we already like won the team fight. But a really big thing that could happen is if somebody died here, and then they have the advantage of position because they're gonna push in 6 against 5 because they have spawn advantage. So I want to kind of deny any sort of play that could happen.
Yeah, like somebody sneaking in from the flank and just picking off 2 people without anyone realizing, right?
Yeah, so a counter argument that you could say, so yeah, why can't it be you who's gonna get picked? Well, 1, because I play safe, and 2, I usually communicate like if I'm in danger. So I would like, hey, I need there's somebody here, I need help or something like that, right? But I play safe. I know my limits, and I have a lot of confidence in taking 1v1s, right? I know for a fact that if somebody tried to take the 1v1 against me, I would probably at the very least make them back off.
Yeah, so again, yeah, understanding your limits, keeping, you know, a position that allows you a bit of aggression, but not so exposed that, you know, you're in danger.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get the cleanup on the Kree. So good first fight for you guys.
Yeah, I called them to push. Maybe we could get a pick on the Zarya, but that's why I walked forward, but then they didn't go, so I just walked back forward.
Yeah. So yeah, your team, even the GM, won't always listen to your callouts. Just a little bit piece of comfort for those of you guys in the lower ranks. Okay, so this time they're going through the hotel, so you kind of rotate accordingly, right? You've gone the opposite way that they've gone now.
Yeah.
Right, window comes out, window on their side too. Okay,
All
so
right.
what's kind of going through your mind here right now?
All right. So I know I have trance. I see everybody critical, but there's a lamp. People who are in the lamp are not in a risk of dying. So the first thing, I obviously shoot through a window. I want to deal as much damage as I can. I shoot through a window, I destroy the lamp, and people here are critical. I think most people would probably click Q here, right? Yeah, so there's no real reason to click Q here because they backed off and we have lamp. They're not gonna die. I know for a fact that their enemy Ryan has shatter, and I want to use that for I want to use that for the shatter. Right? I want them to come out and then I probably use trance. But here, sometimes it happens where he shatters and I click Q, but it just doesn't register in time. I play on relatively high ping in comparison to other people. I play like on 70, 80, right? So sometimes I miss it by half a millisecond. So here was like a game taken from my stream, and I like as soon as I got shatter, I screamed like I clicked Q, you know?
And I think a good question to bring up here is a lot of people, I think this is one of the bigger misconceptions about Zen. A lot of people are very obsessed with Zen's transcendence being only used to counter like a specific ultimate. So for example, in this case, I think a lot of people would be obsessed with the idea that you have to save the trans for Grav. But is it fair to say that like it's more important that you keep them alive in this fight than some future fight where the Grav would come?
No, this is a very big misconception. It's also like something that I hear a lot. I'm very glad that you brought it up. You want to use your trans when people are in danger of dying. Usually, people use them. That's where the big misconception comes from. People use them on ultis because ultis put your team or you in the biggest threat of dying, in the biggest risk of dying. Right? If somebody dies here, you already lost the fight. It doesn't really matter. You 100% lost the fight. But if they use grab and you don't have transfer it, you can still turn around the fight. It's not like 100% lost. You would rather have like 80% lost than 100% lost.
All right, so yeah, here unfortunately you were kind of ready. I think you were also around cover, but for those of you who now can clearly see, the shadow does travel under this car, which is a little bit annoying as well. It's a little bit deceptive that way, but yeah, otherwise you would have trans there. Okay, so you guys all get good spawns, so you're kind of ready to take this this early fight on the streets. Okay, well again the Ryan's walled off. Okay, so you were kind of just waiting there for the last minute before you pop trans.
Right. I wanted to wait when people freeze because then they can't protect themselves. Because as long as they can protect themselves, they're not very likely to die because of the Ryan shield, right? They can't back off from this May ult, but he can pull his shield up to take a lot of damage. So I want to extend my trans time as long as possible because when they're frozen, they're just gonna take a lot of damage, and I want to protect it. And notice something. I notice that I put myself in
between the two Reinhardts.
Yeah, so it's not gonna take all the damage, but it's gonna take some. So what I want here, the worst thing that I want to happen here, that people are gonna die through my teammates are gonna die through my trans. So I want to take some of the damage for them to not get like boom, like bombarded like with damage and just immediately die.
And of course, it also denies the enemy Ryan from being able to pin your Ryan. Like he can't now pin.
Yeah, and you'll see that in the next 2 seconds. Well, I'm just tracking like what the Ryan is doing, and I'm putting myself as a shield notice.
Yeah, brilliant. So there you go. Oh, unfortunately, he will die for that heroic sacrifice. But, you know, it was kind of like you kind of both made the right play, right? You were denying him the charge, and he cleverly kind of pushed you at such a lengthy distance that your trans ran out and you died.
Sometimes in like really high ladder games, you could make a really, really good play, but somebody's also going to make a really good play, and it's going to be like counters each other.
Yeah, I think yeah, basically the point is, yeah, you both did the right thing, which is fair. And because of your worthy sacrifice, maybe, yeah, it looks like your team will win this fight, so that's a good feeling. Okay, so again, the sort of your Ryan gets shattered off. They're beating and aggressing. I'm just trying to help with the damage. Okay, now it looks like too many people are dead, so you're just gonna back out. Any sort of comments on that fight?
I feel like there's only one bad thing that I can find consistently on my gameplay, but it's usually when I'm really, really not focused. I tend to sometimes right-click when I don't need to. And that's also an advice that I would give overall to Zens. I think right-clicking is only good when, like a good rule of thumb would be when you pick a corner or when the enemy team picks a corner. The reason why you want to right-click is because of the burst damage with the element of surprise. If you charge a right-click and people see you, you're not very likely to hit them. They're just going to avoid it. And besides, left-click deals it's actually 2 times more DPS than right-click. So it's always good to spam your left-click when you're in the middle of a fight. But there's no much comment. They just put up a good wall. They used really good ultimates. We just got the fight on ultimates and cooldowns.
Yeah, not much. I think that could have been. chains there, but here you guys are resetting. You're just looking to see maybe if you can pick someone off like this Kree. You know, if you get that right click on his head, then that's a nice...
Notice that I don't go all the way back. I go all the way to the point where I'm safe in cover because I want to know where they're going and doing what. So, for example, I stayed here because I want to deny some characters from pushing, for example. Like the McCree. You saw the McCree picked right. I was there and I shot him and he backed off. If I went all the way back, right, to my team, he could have, like, flanked from the right without anybody noticing. And then when the fight started, we just flanked and killed somebody. So, also when I back off, I want to stay within, like, some sort of line of sight that I can see what the enemy team is, like, planning on doing, or denying them to take, like, denying some characters of taking space.
And do you think that's just something that every player should do, or do you think it's more supports as well should do, is like trying to deny these off angles and these playmaking? Because this is like the second time you've mentioned this now. You know, we had it on first point in the hotel, and now you're saying it again. Is it something you look out for often, or is it something all supports should look out for?
I think that you should probably do it, because here I'm not gonna die here, right? They're not pushing, and I have this cover next to me. I have left on my left there's Mega and there's walls, like, and I can still see, like, what is happening. If I backed all the way off, I wouldn't have seen anything. Know when you are safe and play around where you're safe, but you don't have to go all the way back.
Okay, so you guys can see the Kree's up there. Even the Discord is enough to force him out, right? Like, I think a good McCree will respect that. Okay, well, I'm marked, so I should just back up.
Yeah, exactly. And I always keep myself, like, in a safe position. I always keep myself next to cover at all times. So if McCree picks from there, I'm not gonna die to him.
Exactly. Yeah. So they're blizzarding again, but unfortunately this time you don't have trans. Your Ryan tries to shatter, he gets frozen in between it. Nice kill on the Zarya. So here, are you just kind of trying to play for trans? Like, you're trying to put out as much damage as you can to maybe trans and turn the fight?
To turn the fight, I'm mostly trying to look for damage. Trance is just a bonus. I started the fight at 60% ult charge. It's gonna be very, very hard to build it within like 5 seconds or 7 seconds. I don't have a very big window, especially when they play rush. Here, all I'm trying to do is put as much damage as I can and maybe turn around the fight with damage. While I got the pick on the Zarya, it's a really, really good pick. If I can get one more, or put somebody on low HP and my teammates can finish him off, that would already put us in, like, in an equal position. So here, what I'm trying to do is, like, just damage and damage and damage and damage and damage.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, they just kind of force their way through with the Mei and bully you guys, so... You do get the kill on the Ryan, that's nice, but yeah, the fight's kind of over in that sense.
Also, I had trance here. You could argue that I could also use the trance here, and that's what I feel like a lot of people would do. But when I like played it here, I said, okay, maybe I could have used trance, but then I realized, oh no, using trance, like, pretty, really bad here.
Yeah, like, I guess the fight's gonna take place, like, in this area, right? Like, whether you guys, whether these two live or not, the fight's gonna take place here. So the only thing that you would potentially save is Zarya's charge, and it's like, is that worth a transcendence, right?
Yeah,
that's the question.
So, sometimes it is, but not in these situations. Very, like, maybe 1% of the time it is worth.
So yeah, by the time you arrive, like we discussed, you know, the fight's probably in a similar kind of area. So your map is amping. They've respected and just backed up. Okay. Oh, nice. You get a fire strike kill. And again, just very safe positioning, just trying to do as much damage from without, you know, peeking anything unnecessarily. And yeah, just that one kill kind of wins you guys the fight, so that's nice. Again, yeah, taking the long corridor somewhere safe. The grab goes down. Dragon over the top. Yeah, solid. Just, you know, like any comment, it just looks like, you know, solid. You're just safe. You're just throwing out as much left clicks as you can. Like you said, higher DPS rather than just over right clicking and just getting your discords out, contributing the key damage. All good stuff.
Oh, as I said, fundamentally, all I do is pump out damage without dying. I noticed the McCree high noon there. I immediately started, like, playing with the corner. I kind of shoulder peeked the corner and shot there, so I wouldn't get died to the high noon even by accident. I don't overcommit. I keep my distance and pump out damage, like constant damage all the time. There's not a single second that I'm not putting out damage.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, it's Kree flanking.
And that is the reason why you know, play, like, in this, like, at the end of the fight or at these positions where I kind of deny them this opportunity because of situations like this. Because if I died here, it would have been really, really bad.
And I think, again, like, there's an element of respect here, because I can tell that in Plat, that McCree doesn't roll back. He just stays and keeps trying to kill you. But this is a consequence of, you know, you guys all being top 500. He knows that if he peeks you any longer, you're going to kill him. Or he's assuming you're going to kill him. Whereas like a Platinum McCree wouldn't respect the enemy Zenyatta that much.
Right. I think the smart play for him would be to kill me and sacrifice. It still would have gotten him the advantage.
Yeah, I agree. I think he should have stayed, but I think the reason why he rolls away, because I think a lot of people are going to watch this and they're going to say, "Oh my god, if I was against McCree, he would have killed me." But I think the reason he does that is because he respects you.
Yeah, and my team
And
in
he
the
fears
Ryan
you.
was there as well. You know, he kind of it is. It is like that.
Let's just play that back. I think, did the Zarya, or did the card block the shatter for you?
No, the card doesn't block the shadow.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. So, yeah, it's the Zarya bubble, okay. And the wall,
Yeah.
both.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah.
Yeah, I transferred to save my run, and I get in the way of my Zarya bubble. I know she tried to bubble him. That's unlucky. But something that I will do, and I think you'll see a better example of this. Usually, I will always try in the middle of the fight, if I'm not off-angling, to line myself behind people. In this situation, I didn't know that they're gonna shatter, but I know they have shatter, right? So to eliminate the risk of sometimes maybe like receiving it, I line myself behind the Zarya that if by any chance she reacts it with a bubble, I'm gonna stand behind it.
Yeah, and what I was going to say is, like, it's just kind of another way of increasing the percentages, right? Like, okay, maybe she only blocks the shatter 50% of the time, but that's 50% of the time that you're now living where you wouldn't otherwise, right? So even though it might be a small detail, it kind of adds up.
Even if I get shattered, I'm still gonna stand behind her, and the first priority is gonna be to shoot her and not me sometimes. So she's going to die, but maybe I'm going to live.
Okay. So yeah, here you chance to save your Ryan, because obviously you feel like, you know, he needs to live to win this fight. Unfortunately, he gets burst through the trance. But yeah, are you happy with the decision?
Yeah, it was a good decision overall. Maybe I could have done it like maybe half a second earlier, but yeah, he just got bursting down really fast. Sometimes you just really don't have the time to make a decision like that, like really fast.
And one little detail I want to point out here is, like, you know, I think this is something that pretty much every top tier Zenyatta does, but I think people don't necessarily always pick up on, is use the end of the trance as a mobility to get to where you want to be. So
Of course.
right here, you know, you finish the end of the trance behind this box.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's very important. Like, make sure, because obviously trance also gives you quite a significant speed boost, so make sure you use that last second, 2 seconds to get yourself into a good spot, and that's where you are right now.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
like most of the
go
time, if their mate didn't die, I would very likely to go back where my Baptiste is, like at the back of the thing. But as soon as their mate died, I said, okay, we lost one. We have good spawn advantage. We can still turn around the fight. So I put myself in a position where I'm safe. I'm not gonna die, but I can still put out damage to maybe balance the fight out a little bit.
Absolutely. And anyway, any sort of chance to turn the fight. Again, it's like any percentage to turn the fight. So yeah, they grab your Zarya. She almost gets saved, but now your Torb is molten coring all over.
Yeah, and we managed to somehow turn around the fight while extracting grab.
Lamp is a strong cooldown.
It is. But as you said, it's extremely important to use the last 1, sometimes 2 seconds of your chance to reposition yourself into a safe position.
Absolutely. Okay, so you got the amp again. They blizzard through it. It looks like you'll be able to escape, which is nice. Ryan's dead, but he traded. But again, without the front line, you're just backing up here, right? There's no, like, you can't fight their front line when they've got the Ryan up and you don't. So you just kind of back in. Just again, putting out the damage. Orb on your Zarya. Again, she's the one who's going to take damage, right? Again, that point of anticipating damage.
Yeah.
And is there a specific reason you're targeting the Mei, or you just think she's in the most open spot?
Well, 1, she's in the most open spot, and I don't want her to get close to my team. But 2, they just played, like, if you look 1 second earlier, they just played behind the payload. And I couldn't shoot any of them, so I had to swap to a target that I can actually shoot. Here, I can't really shoot anybody besides the Mei. And
So
I
yeah,
decided to commit.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just decided to commit because 1, she can shoot me back. 2, if I make her back off, we have really big advantage in the frontline fight.
Yeah.
And
So
I
just
can't really shoot
take the
anybody
target that is most available, but yeah.
Yeah. Here I swap.
Yeah, exactly. So the most important target, like, it changes. You don't have to obsess, basically.
You need to shoot who you can shoot.
And here, now that the McCree's threatening you, this makes, obviously, this more important that you kill him before he kills you.
Yes. Alright. Notice something which is like extremely important. Because Zen has no mobility and really nothing to protect himself, it's very important for you to always play next to cover. At this scenario, McCree flanked and caught me with no cover. Like in the open, he could freely kill me, right?
Yeah,
See that?
So here, yeah. So immediately you go for the pillars, right? You're using this pillar as a cover.
Yeah, yeah. Even though I'm not straight behind the pillar, I use it to cut his LOS off of me.
Yeah, this is like the dance that a good Zenyatta will always do, because this is why Discord is another, you know, I'm sure most people know this, but of course the fact that the orb is giving you the signal of that's where he is, you know, you have wall hacks essentially. So you're using that to kite. When he goes left, you go right to cut that LOS.
Yeah.
You see there, he peeks left side, you go right side, because you know he's going that way.
Yeah, it's basically wall hacks. You have to use it. You don't need to try to run away. Just use natural cover and like what you have around you to protect yourself.
Okay, so here your team gets grabbed, trying to keep people up. It's going to be difficult. Now you're ready to touch, almost take out the Lucio, and yeah, there's not much more you can do there, I don't think.
When you look at it, like when we pause and we talk about it, right? Like it looks like it's I don't know, like from my perspective, it looks like it's somewhat an even game, but we completely got stumped this game. We got capped pretty fast in first, we got pretty capped pretty fast in second, and on third, you know, they capped almost 2 minutes. But it almost didn't feel like it. If I played like significantly worse here and didn't put enough damage, we probably gotten capped like with 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes.
That's one of the mental battles that Overwatch as well, right? It's like feeling like you're in a really tough game, even if the time bank is like, you know, the time bank could have been worse, but it feels like you guys were getting rolled, right? And that's tough to, like, you have to keep the mental strong to come back from that.
100%. A game is lost only on the defeat screen.
Absolutely. Although there's several teammates that will throw regardless, but you have to keep going. You have to keep extracting every little bit of value out.
Exactly. You can only control what you do, not what other people do.
And of course as well, like for you, you might say, oh, well, I'm trying to get rank 1, so like this SR is like the difference. But I think for the majority of the people, you should be playing to improve. So whether you win that one game or not, yes, it hurts to lose, but you're playing to get better at Zen, for example. So to treat, even if your team are like, this game is over, treat the next 4 minutes as like, I'm going to make sure I improve on Zenyatta.
Exactly. There's no benefit to give up. There's really no benefit, any benefit.
Absolutely. So let's see how you guys approach this. So you've got a Doomfist now. Would that change in any way how you kind of orb or prioritize, or are you same as normal?
I'll keep a orb on him a lot of the times. That's for starters. And 2, I'm gonna try to discord the targets that I think he's gonna try to go and pick if I have the opportunity. Yeah. So my discord priority would always be the person that is gonna take the most damage. So here it's the Ryan. The reason why it's important for me to discord the Ryan, 1 is because we're all gonna focus him, but 2, more importantly, because they play a rush comp, I want to discord the Ryan for us to be able to do enough damage to make him back off and not completely stomp Orion, because they have a really fast comp, and that's what they're planning to do. They want to rush on somebody, and Orion is the one dictating the whole tempo. Like where are they gonna? He's gonna be the person that makes contact. If I discord him and they take damage, and he says I'm taking damage, I'm backing off, they're all gonna back off.
Yeah, so kind of breaking down the key part of their comp, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so let's see how that plays out. And just a sort of random question, how much would you say you practice your aim on Zenyatta?
I've never really practiced aim, like never in my life. I feel like the best way to improve your aim in Overwatch is just to play Overwatch.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Just do it. Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to improve your aim on Zen, just play Zen.
So yeah, here your team's getting pressured. A very nice Lamb kind of keeps everybody topped up. Yeah. McCree flanking, so you're denying him.
Right.
And yeah, again, I think just like constantly, I don't think there's a moment where you haven't like just been churning out the damage and, you know, threatening a bunch of people, the BAP, the McCree. So just, you know, by, like you said, by living and doing damage, you're having a big impact on the fight.
Exactly. And I know I can't really move anywhere. Like before this, I couldn't really move into a different position because they were just waiting to rush on somebody. And when we take a little bit of space, that's where I know I can move. And that's where I said that off angling is extremely important. Right now, I just kept myself within distance to do damage within distance, but still being useful without dying. But at this point, when we decide to push, this like where I'm gonna decide what I'm gonna do, because I need to make a play, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like I think this is a good example here where it's like your team is all in this area, but you're a little bit back because you are aware that, okay, well, somebody can come from here, they can come from there, and by being here, you actually zone that out. So this McCree, you know, otherwise he's free firing, and these guys aren't in cover properly, so they can't help. But you are, so you come in, you're like, nope, go away, McCree. Then the BAP, again, he tries, like, you know, to cross his gap, and you just kind of make his life hard, so you're like, nope, you gotta get straight out to the other side. And yeah, now, you know, there Ryan gets uppercut out of his shatter. And now you're gonna push when you guys have the amp matrix. Yeah, so here we go. Now you're pushing. Okay. Oh,
I'm
nice
using the wall.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I use the wall as cover. The reason you could argue that I was like really the front line there, right? But I used the wall as cover. I knew I could bake off safely, and it's very important for me to use the window, especially since my Rhine die. The only way I could win is if we get a pick. I had to use the window to kill somebody, and I did.
Exactly, yeah. I think, again, it's similar to what I was talking to Cloudy about, where it's like, if you lose one player, a lot of people are like, oh shit, back up, back up. But the only way you win that fight is if you frag back, like if you get another player back. So
Exactly.
you sometimes have to take a risky decision to turn the fight.
It's true, 100%.
Okay, so again, the lamp comes out, and there you go. You guys are just kind of, you're still staying in it. You're still making it a thing, and obviously the longer this goes on, the more the spawn advantage will start to show. And here,
There's a lot of like micro decisions that also like went into like the past 3 seconds, right? So Zarya is like beaming me. I have to back off. There's not really much cover. I tried to maybe line myself up with the Zarya, but I noticed my BAP throws the lamp and I'm 6 HP. When I realized that, I walk into the lamp because the lamp puts you at 40 HP when you play Zen.
Yeah, it's like a self-heal there, right there. And yeah, so you just kind of, you basically, I think all these micro decisions were like trying to maximize you staying alive, right? It was like a slide juke here, walk into the lamp, like just cutting her LOS, like everything was just stay alive, stay alive, stay alive, like maximize staying alive.
The thing that you want to do is to put out damage, right? And there's only one thing that could prevent you from doing it, and it's you dying. So your first and foremost priority needs to be to stay alive.
So here you go for a little flank. It's just kind of, I think it's just the safest angle as well, actually, for you to peek, right?
Yeah, and I miss all my shots, but that happens sometimes as well.
Even the best miss, guys. Even the best miss. And yeah, here again, you're just trying to put the pressure, right, so they can't push easily. Like that volley and Discord on the Rhine stopped him from walking past the choke.
There's no reason for me to use volley here. Like, I don't know why I did that. Again, it's a very bad tendency, but just putting out the damage is extremely important.
Nice cap. And again, yeah, just looking for that little tiny angle. Nice little spot there. There you go, guys. A nice little spot for you to spam from. And yeah, very important, you check the window because you anticipated someone might be flanking. There is a Mei flanking, but she's dealing with your Torb right now.
Yeah.
So the amp and the high noon kind of zones you.
If McCree flanked there, I would have been in a lot of trouble. And that's why I want to check, and I heard somebody's there. So I put myself into like inside cover where I could still shoot the enemy team, but keep myself safe from any flanks from the windows.
I think this is probably something good to speak about for a lot of, you know, lower level and lower rank support players. They often complain like, oh my god, someone's on the flank and killing me. But I think, is it fair to say that you have to learn to like fend for yourself as a support and like check these flanks yourself and then pressure them out yourself? If you want to climb, the most reliable way is to kind of do it yourself, right?
Yes, 100% yes. You need the mentality that you need to like learn of like how to improve. You have to understand that you have to do everything by yourself. Everything that you want to be done, you have to make sure that happens. If you are worried that you're gonna get flanked, you check for that flank, right? You look at the windows. You just shoot there, right? You play next to cover. If you say, oh, my team didn't, like my other support didn't heal me, well, maybe if you played in a better position, you wouldn't have died. Sure, a lot of the times you need to get healed by your teammates, but you can't really count it all the time. You always have to play in a way where you take as least resources as you can, while giving out a lot of like, you know, any some sort of like
the most value you can, right? Like take the least resources and give the most value. That's the play style.
Yes.
That's a great, I think it's a great philosophy. So yeah, here the sort of Amp Matrix, High Noon, this is kind of, it looks like your team is probably going to lose this fight. Yeah, so you're just staying back, trying to do damage. Maybe you get a pick, but just making sure you don't just die for no reason. Okay, so now you guys are back, you're pushing. There's a McCree flanking right. And again, yeah, they're just like you said, waiting as long as you can till they, let them protect themselves for a little bit, and then comes the Transcendence.
Exactly.
Okay. And yeah, now the
and
Blizzard
also something that you can't hear is I'm like communicating like with my other support, right? Because we knew that they had grab, we knew that they had May ulti. I told him, listen, I'm just gonna call what I want to do, just save your lamp. So they used it at the same time, so I just used it. I told him save lamp for the last second and just threw it the last second before he just got frozen, right?
Yeah, you can see that right at the edge of the frame. He's now frozen, so he has to. Now your Ryan's getting pinned away, but you're trying to help him, and you do actually manage to mitigate most of the pin damage.
Yeah. It was actually
go ahead.
It was actually not the best decision. Like I wouldn't advise to ever do that. I kind of got pinned, and I pinned into them, and I already had 1 second, so there was not enough time for me to go back. So I decided to commit to the back because why? I wanted to create some sort of a split where they focus their attention. Some people will focus their attention on us. So our 100% charge Zarya, our Torb, our Doom could have a really good frontline fight because we are occupying right now the Rhine, the Baptiste, and the Lucio.
And it's going to show actually because now the Lucio beats, and I think both the Bap and the Lucio are going to chase you. And I think, is it fair to say, like, you just see, okay, the beat's out, there's no point, like, or you were ready to fight this guy, but the beat out, and you're instantly like, nope, no point, because they've got a bunch of additional shields that I'm not going to power through. But
I actually want them to chase me. That's the reason I kind of picked, even though they beat it. I want them to chase me. If I take both of these supports, my team can win the frontline fight.
Yeah, so there's a McCree and a Lucio chasing you there. So yeah, you die, and you do a good amount of damage in Lucio, but you took a lot of pressure off your front line. Those, that's two people who weren't attacking them, and now it looks like you're gonna kill their Rhine as a consequence.
Yeah, and we win the fight.
Yeah, like a high charge Zarya and a main healer behind her. That's all you really need.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm thinking like my Zarya 100 charge. The first priority is to keep her alive because she's the most the source of our damage. It was like a super situational, like just thinking on the fly what I could do in the situation. There's nothing really fundamental that it's like super situational. It's like through experience and through a lot. There's nothing fundamental that I can talk about and teach like other people how to do. Like this, like solely like a micro decision, half a second decision that I decide, okay, this is what I'm gonna do, and this is what is gonna give me the maximum value for a win.
Yeah, I think that's the best sort of summary that you can give of it, is like try to extract maximum value, right? Like don't settle for, oh, this is a bad spot, let me just stand down main and keep doing what I'm doing. Like, you were like, you got put in an awkward spot and you were like, okay, well, what's the best thing I can do? Awkward spot, haha. What's the best thing I can do to get value here? And you thought, okay, well, if I pulled these two guys, that's value, and it worked out. So I think that's the lesson that can be gotten. So here you're just trying to look for a little bit of a cheeky flank. Is this again like just something you mix in from time to time?
Yeah, as I said, against the rush comp, they're gonna rush one spot, and that's why I could come up from the other spot and off angle and put enough damage. Because what happens here if I pick here, right? One, I can get a pick. Here I didn't because he rolled. But even though I can stand here and shoot, I take off a lot of pressure from my front line. McCree's gonna turn around, Bap is gonna turn around. So it means they might not heal the front line or shoot the front line. Here I could have died. But again, I kind of knew my limits. And I had a really good idea that I'm probably not gonna die. For me to die, he's gonna probably 2-tap me in the head, which is very unlikely. Now I'm occupying Kree. So who is their damage? They have Zarya with no charge, and if I take main sort of damage, my team has more damage, and I still put out damage from the sides. When you play against Rush, the worst thing you can do is to actually go face to face with them. What you want to do is to create multiple off angles and shoot them from the sides when they're focusing one target. And I called the Torb to come with me here, because if I got pushed, he could help me.
And that's exactly what he does. He comes in, he drops a turret and molten core all over, and now, the enemy team's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
And once you achieve what you wanted to achieve, you back up.
Yeah.
You got one pick, you got immortality as well. The Mei should die. Yeah. So And the Torb dies there because he hung around, but he also did his job, right? He also did the same off-angle thing that you were doing, where pressure from the front line, and it buys your team a lot of space.
Yeah, but he overstayed a little bit.
Yeah. That's why he dies. Because, you know, where you went back, he stuck around and hard committed.
Yes.
Oh, so the window fire strike gets your BAP. And again, you do the same move. So is that, again, is this a consequence of like, okay, well, there's a window there. There's too much pressure. Let me try and find value maybe from here.
Yes, usually I would probably go with my team, but the reason why I didn't is because my BAP died. My BAP died. I realized, okay, we're not in a much big of an advantage. So I kind of have to, one, check if somebody's flanking, because I think I heard footsteps behind. I don't want to deny that flank, even though it's probably not smart for me to go like straight to his face. Probably a better decision would be to go with my team, I think. But I just kind of had something in me telling me, maybe I should try to see.
Yeah, and again, you didn't double down on the decision. You just kind of zoned the McCree out and then went back.
Yeah.
And you dealt with him.
Something that I have to talk about a little bit. Can you go back like 5 seconds? We won the fight, and most people, when they win a fight, they just get complacent. They're just like, you know, oh, like in Cloud9. I know that McCree is still behind because I saw him, right? But it's still important for him to not kill anybody. So when he picks out, notice that I lean towards the right side to cover, so I don't die.
Yeah.
I don't go with the mentality, okay, we're 4 people, like, let's just push him.
Yeah.
No. He can stay at the back. I'm not gonna die to him.
Yeah, so again, don't be careless at any point. Like, even a little bit of a misplay can have a consequence. So now they have a Widowmaker. So you're gonna have to respect that angle. Blizzard comes in. And so why didn't you trans this time?
Because Ryan already died, and I kind of had a feeling that we already kind of lost the fight. So I might as well just, you know, we might as well just regroup properly and take the fight in better terms.
Okay, so you kind of made the decision like, this fight, I don't think it's worth it. I don't think, even if I trans, I don't think it'll be worth us winning. So let's just save it.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you try to like zone out Widows a lot yourself? Because obviously Zen, if
Yes.
Zen gets the Discord, you know, he's pretty good in that fight.
Yes, I do. It's important to not even like you said, you have to respect, as you said, you respect the Widow angle. You respect the Widow angle. You don't hard pick it. Sometimes I even hard pick it, right? Because I'm like very, very confident in my own abilities. But you have to pressure her. You have to shoot towards the direction, make her afraid to pick. If I see a Widow, I'm gonna be. I saw her on the bottom right. I'm gonna be shooting there to make sure she doesn't pick again.
Yeah, even if you don't kill her, that's already that one angle that she can't now. No, she can't use that angle.
I want her to be afraid of me more than me afraid of her.
Get into psychological warfare.
Yes.
Yes, there you go. You were looking. You kept checking. Like, okay, she coming back. She coming back. No, okay. Gonna go for the Ryan instead. Oh, so that was a very nice LOS. This is really, really nice, actually. So let's watch this back. So it's very, very, again, micro detail, but it actually completely changes how this fight goes. So notice here that I know this is a Ryan player, the way he's shaping, like he's so shaping up for a shadow. You can see he's trying to go off to a side. He's trying to line himself up with the rest of the team. So he's getting ready to drop a slammer. He goes for the undercard classic. And Awkward just makes one little step to the left. And that is actually enough to cut the... See, the McCree, who's just like a little bit to the other side, he gets slammed. But Awkward, that slight step, takes the LOS and you save yourself from the shatter. You are literally the only person on your team who didn't get hit. In comes the Transcendence. Everybody's good.
Yeah. As I said, I always want to use anything that I can to my advantage. Either whether it's my teammates, I want to stand behind them, or I want to stand behind any cover that I can to not get shot, because I knew he had shatter. I knew he was gonna. So there are 2 options for me. 1, keep distance, which was already irrelevant because I was already at the corner. 2, play behind my Zarya. Maybe if she bubbles, I'm gonna be okay, but I think she used her bubble. And 3 is to use the cover next to my left. So I know he's gonna shatter. Let's see if I can maybe lean towards the cover and not get shattered.
Yeah, there you go. Again, every little detail helps. And there it is again. You end the Transcendence because you're up already. So you're going, okay, Transcendence into their back line, pressure their BAP, pressure their Widow, right? Like, use it. There you go, nice little. So that was a little shoot melee combo to finish him off. So yeah, just getting constant value here, like huge value with the trans, and then even after getting into a good position. And here again, you're getting ready for the next fight, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna be completely honest with you for this one, right? The only reason I went here is because I know we were gonna do this afterwards, and I decided to do this, to do something flashy. But it made a lot of sense in my mind because when you think about it, they have a widow, right? If I stand out there like on the payload in the open and it gives her an opportunity to pick me, and two, as I said, I want against rush, I want to off angle a lot, and I want to actually make people look at me because it helps my team. It takes a lot of pressure off of my front line, and besides, this angle is very very good first link. So I know here I'm not gonna die to widow, and I'm gonna occupy them a lot. Like I'm gonna grab their attention, and you can see how it
Yeah.
plays out.
Yeah, this is what happens, right? Like the BAP is now has to be bothered by you. You force him away
him
from
in.
his own window.
Yeah, force him away from his own window to jump into my team, into the grab even, and die.
Yeah. So again, the pressure of you didn't kill the BAP, but the pressure of being there forced him into a bad spot.
Exactly.
So basically, same comps all around, nothing really different, which is nice. Actually, it gives us a good little bit of analyze, something to analyze. Okay, so again, the McCree flanks the Mei walls. Unlucky time to be reloading, but again, he doesn't peek it for too long.
Yeah. I've been eating Fire Strike all game.
I've been there. Sometimes as a Zen, you're like, God damn it, can I just stop eating these fire strikes? Like the one, I suppose the one downside of being behind your teammates is that sometimes you'll eat that fire strike.
Yeah.
But again, yeah, discording there, Ryan, harmonying your Ryan, just to make sure they win that he wins that fight. Just keeping the McCree zoned.
And again, pump up damage all the time. Pump out all the damage that I can.
Just, like, yeah, never stop right clicking if you can. If you have to, then charge a right click and go again. So never stop that left click.
And here's the off angle, just off angling.
Yeah, again, see, this is just a nuisance because they now like either Lucio's looking at you and then he isn't looking at the Hanzo who domes him, right? So it's just like being a nuisance.
when they play rush and the rush is not successful, they go back into cover to stabilize, to kind of reset their cooldowns, reset their HP, so they could go for another rush. So rush just kind of works like this: you go from point A to point B, right? And from your point B could be a position or the enemy team. And then from point A to point B. So let's say your point B is the enemy team. So you go from point A to the enemy team, which is point B. It doesn't work out, you have to go back to point A to stabilize. So you could, stabilize your cooldowns, and then you go from point A to point B again. And when they stabilize, why it's important to off angle, especially from this position. So they're stabilizing behind the pillar, and I don't let them stabilize behind the pillar. I just constantly shoot them from an off angle. So they can't really reset all their HP and cooldowns because I'm shooting them. Give me the opportunity to single-handedly take away their advantage.
Yeah, like just by being on the off angle, you completely disrupt their safe spot, and it's no longer safe, and then they have to back even further, and they lose a player in the process. So yeah, just the power of off
phrase it
angling.
correctly. Yeah, you phrased it very very good.
Okay, Mei flank again, but you're like, nope, no Mei, you can't come in here. Cool, that's a nice wall, zones out your Rhine. But the window, you just keep chucking out them orbs, Exactly. And there you go, just the damage output. Might even get a stagger here on there. Yeah, you do. Nice. And another stagger on there, Mei, very nice. It's probably a little bit, fortunate because those are two duels that you could have lost your BAP, you could have lost your Hanzo, but sometimes when you win a game, like, those little 50-50s go for you.
Yep.
There you go, nice grab off the point, and no contest.
Here I wanted to avoid the shatter, but I mean that's the reason why I went here. Again, to grab attention, especially when I have trance, I'm more loose with what I can do because I know one, I can react to shatter. Two, if they decide to push me in this room, I can just trance away and I basically force them to use cooldowns and have bad position. I kind of wanted to react to here, but was a little bit too late. I kind of miscalculated how much distance it actually covers. because I
Yeah.
was like at the end of it. But even then, I kind of like, it's a very, very micro decision. But I realized that I'm gonna get shattered. I'm gonna fall into so, and I made a jump back to cut, as like to get inside the room. That even though I'm on the floor, I'm still cutting some of the LOS, like some of the damage I
Yeah.
can take.
Yeah, and this is like a good principle for like a lot of things. Like Roadhog Hook is another example of like, if you jump around the corner, even if you get hit by the initial impact, it might actually cut as your body reaches around the corner. It's the same for the shatter. Like you won't stop the shatter, but yeah, maybe you land here, and that's like one or two people who can't see you might make the difference if you live or die.
Exactly.
Again, you guys got the Doomfist on attack. They got the Mercy actually this time instead of. So this is a slightly different variation. They got the Ash Mercy. So we'll see how you end up dealing with that. So again, just looking for that little off angle maybe, but not, not hard committing to it. You didn't like run down there and decide that's your job now. Now here's the Ash Mercy. So again, you're pressuring, like similar to the Widowmaker, right?
Yeah, pressuring, but playing in cover. I respect the angle. I don't want to peek outside in the open. I take shots, but I'm next to the wall. If she hits me, I just go to the like behind the wall, and then she can't hit me anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Like she can't one tap you, so you can eat one shot, and there you go. So one shot is hit, but now what can she do? She can't do the second shot, so it's like you get to go again. Basically, you recharge your HP, and you get to go again. And there it is again, the pressure, and there you go. Eventually, they're just forced out because the Ashes feels like there's too much pressure, so that angle is now denied. And this is again like people I don't think people appreciate that a support can do this, but quite clearly you've cleared like the high ground without ever having to do anything other than just shoot there.
Zen has the most damage, but you can literally do this with any support. You can do it with Ana, you can do it with Vap, you can do it with pretty much like almost any support.
Do it with Lucio as well, yeah.
Yeah. You can shoot back. That's like one of the biggest things that like one of pet peeves of mine in the Overwatch community is when people call supports healers. Like I really, really hate it. It's not, you're not a healer. You can do a lot of damage. You can sometimes even do more damage than DPS.
Okay, now that you zone them out, again the quick check, but your Corvus has cleared it the proper way, which is to straight up kill them, and then nice volley on the Mei. And yeah, the Ryan is just given up at this point. He's just standing there with his shield up.
Yep.
He knows it's over. And GG.
Remember, they capped with 2 minutes and we still managed to win this fight.
Yeah, never give up, right? Like you said as well, like, I just felt like we were getting rolled, but no reason to just throw in the towel and start flaming your teammates or whatever. Just go again.
Exactly. Sometimes I mean, they played a really, really dominant comp. They played it really well. And because we had goats for a long time, everybody knows that Rush is a very snowbally comp. It's only against Rush capping with 2-3 minutes. It's completely normal, and then you go next, you cap with 4. Everything is completely normal against Rush. You never give up. It's not even against Rush. Like fundamentally, you should never really care about how much time they capped, and you always try your best. It goes back to the fundamental what you're supposed to do with Zen. And fundamental things, it's something that goes through all ranks, ranging from bronze to top 1. What you want to do with Zen is damage. It doesn't really matter what rank you are.
And that's all I got for today, guys. Hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, then make sure you check out all of Awkward's socials, which are included in the video description. He really is a fantastic player to learn from. If you're enjoying the Thought Process series, then make sure you're subbed and have the notifications on so you don't miss future episodes. And also, head on down to the comment section and tell me which hero you want covered next, and tell me who you'd like to see give their thought process. As always, I want to give a big shout out to my patrons who do the awesome job of supporting me, and if you want me to keep making videos like these, then do consider supporting me as well. But that's it from me. I'll be back before you know it with another video. See you guys soon.